The answer to my problems at the bottom of this bottle. Straight shots of liquor, little mama got Moscato. Designated driver, so we going full throttle. Enjoying success like we just hit the lotto. The answer to my problems at the bottom of this bottle. Straight shots of liquor, little mama got Moscato. Designated driver, so we going full throttle. Enjoying success like we just hit the lotto. The night being spent at the bar getting bent.
Hey, yo, what up, everybody? This your boy, Illuminati the God, coming at you with another episode of Bar Fight. I got my co-host, a.k.a. Bouncer, Queen B Young Venom, and I got Nate the God with us, and we got Lit with us, you dig? The other Nate, you dig? So, yeah, so let me start this little timer. I can't see it, but I think I got that down. Okay. It should be like a 10-second little... Okay, 5. Good job. Some new shit for the show, you know what I mean? It was here last week, but it didn't show up in the angle. So, alright, let the show begin. Alright, this week we got a couple of nice topics that we're gonna go over, and then we'll see where the conversation goes. First off, how is everybody?
I'm good.
You good?
Yeah.
How you doing?
Doing good. I worked out today. Good day.
True. It's always a good day if Nate works out. You know what I mean? That's like the sun coming out. You know what I'm saying? Coming out.
We worked out too, so yeah.
Yeah. Got a little kickboxing drills in, and I rode my exercise bike. You dig? Lit right here. You say he's full.
Oh
you
yeah,
dig?
I'm full. That steak got me.
True.
That was a good steak.
Yeah, the steak was bomb.
Barbecue for the fam today. You know what I mean? Celebrating the 4th episode. It's been a month of this. You dig? So, I'm gonna pour me a little drink, and it's just gonna be a little one, cause I got shit to do in the morning. You dig? But let's see. Let's get everybody right. Young Venom.
Thank you.
And a little bit. He got early clients. We got early MMA class. We got shit to do. So.
Yep.
But all work and no play make everybody dull. So there you go. And fam ain't drinking. He said he got sick last week. So that's wrong spot. Okay. My OCD was killing me because I didn't move the Duce back last time. So I'm watching the video back like, okay. And I'm gonna mix mine with water. I just wanna sip today. Mix it. Good. I know it.
Thank you.
A lot of water, you know.
Never seen that done before.
Really?
Yeah, everything tastes good with water. Goddamn. Yeah, it tastes really good.
Yeah, it does.
My little mixology is good. Yeah, it's like, you can use that.
I'm good.
I don't want you to have to squirt it, bro. And you pour that one, okay?
Okay.
We're gonna drink out of it.
That's the alkaline water, Nate. Yeah, you know. Mr. Worked out today.
Say good booty.
That's his Instagram all over his Instagram.
I would have checked him out this morning.
Oh, okay, for sure. I was like, you know.
Yep.
Okay, so first topic we're gonna get into is something that I saw on social media. It's a shirt that I saw, right? So it says, "Women do not have to be thin, cook for you, have long hair, wear makeup, be feminine, be graceful." It's a long list. "Have sex with you, shave, diet, be fashionable, wear pink, love men, listen to your bullshit."
Ooh,
So my first response,
that's a list.
my first response to that list was, "And we don't have to fuck with you, okay? I don't have to like you." What was your response?
Same. I have certain things that I like and certain things that I don't like. Just because I'm a girl doesn't mean that I want to accept certain things from another female.
The short answer was, she said women don't have to fuck with you. We're gonna break down the list in a second, but her initial short response was like, and women don't have to fuck with that type of woman either. Nate, what's your...
Mine was number one that is wrong. Everybody has to diet. Diet just means what you're eating.
Yeah.
Everybody's got a diet. So that was just one, logical fallacy there.
Yeah. We're like we said in the last episode, we kind of healthy lifestyles, you know. And honestly, like, yeah, now we can really dissect the list now that we got everybody's short-term answer. What's your answer about this list?
The list was too long for me.
It lost its attention.
way too much.
Too much.
I feel you. My thing, it sounded like they was describing like Sasquatch or somebody. You know what I mean? It's like who looks like this? Like, what does this person look like that doesn't diet, doesn't shave, doesn't do a lot of things? You know what I mean?
Be fashionable. I mean, you know, some people admit that they can't dress, but I like fashion. I like clothes.
And
I like looking good.
I do too. And so that's something that actually reminded me, because like I said, we was going to talk about this list, and I mentioned one more thing, but that's a third thing that I definitely wanted to talk about. And to me, it's going to be like a whole separate thing. But yeah, like, come on, like what does this person look like? What do they have going for them? What are they into? I mean...
Yeah, the be thin, I'm naturally a petite woman, but I like women of all different shapes and sizes. I think you don't have to fit a certain frame for me to find you attractive personally. I take it by each person.
I get, so my thing is the presentation of it, you know, because I understand the whole we don't have to do anything, and I agree with that. You know, nobody should be forced into doing anything that they don't want to do or that they don't believe in. That's totally fine. But the presentation of it is, number one, it's super negative.
It's just so anti.
Yeah, it's we don't have to do any of this stuff, and it's like, well, and like you said, like, well, then what do? You just sit there and do absolutely nothing? Like,
yeah, this is a weird list. I mean,
the biggest one for me though is the feminine, because it presents the feminine in a negative sense. And it's
agree.
If you're a feminist, or if you're someone who is pro women or for women's rights, feminine is not negative, and it shouldn't be.
Yeah, and like, because of the way the list was presented, I couldn't even take it as something coming from a feminist. You know what I mean? It's like, right. I'm not here to, I have my own opinion of what feminine, my idea of feminine, you know, but this thing is, you would think that they would have left that off, because their idea of feminine would be maybe something else. So like, I don't know, the first show we had a stud on the show, and or second show in the audience and things, and she was like, you know, she was like, I'm a woman, yeah, I'm 100% I'm a woman, but she identified as a stud. She dressed like boys. She said she would never dress like a girl, but I think just the fact that she would say, I'm a woman 100%, that to me was still kind of feminine, and she owned that, you know what I mean? So this other stuff is just like, you just sound like you got a bad attitude.
Cook for you?
Like, honestly.
You don't have to cook for anybody, but that also sounds like you don't cook for yourself, which I think everybody should know how to cook for themselves.
Yeah. That's just a life skill.
Yeah, that's a life skill.
That's just something you need.
I'm big on love, so it's just like damn, you know what I mean? Like it sounds like getting back to like that bad attitude, like I don't have to cook for you.
What does your spouse think of this? You know?
Yeah, shit. What kind of spouse do you have? You know what I mean? Because they say they don't have to have sex with you. They don't have to like men. So
if
did
y'all
a stud
can
write this list, and I still wouldn't say, I'm not trying to be presumptuous, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm not saying just because you're a stud, you still wouldn't, that you might want to diet but there's a lot on the list, you know what I'm saying? Have long hair. I seen the shirt on somebody who had long hair, who had hoop earrings in, and was like, that's not the picture we're looking at right now per se, but it's just like, to me, it kind of spreads chaos. This seems like some rugged individualism, some divide and conquer. I'm all about, like we talked about teamwork and things like that on one of the episodes. So this is, like we were saying, like a bad attitude. And as far as being thin or diet, people come in all different shapes and sizes, and we know that, we accept that.
Right.
I feel like everybody should work towards being their best version of their self. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so you want to be healthy as best as you can. Like, that's, at the end of the day, that's all I would ask. You know what I mean? I know some people, before they gain a certain amount of consciousness, the struggle might be harder for some than others, but that doesn't mean you just opt out. You know what I mean? And say, well, no.
Let's see. Be graceful.
Shit.
Also, what's wrong with being graceful?
I know. Right? I'm like,
I want to be graceful.
I'm trying to be graceful. You know what I mean?
I'm clumsy, so
It's hard to be graceful. It's a good quality to be graceful.
yeah, I
And
agree.
it takes effort. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Wear pink. I like pink. I don't know. Not everybody likes pink. That's your own thing.
That's
your own thing.
That's where okay, I get what they're going
Like
for
the
with this,
gender
because
roles.
there's the assumed gender roles of the female has to do all of these things and the male has to do all of these things, et cetera. But the issue there is, again, it's really divisive. It's way too individualistic, and it doesn't. If you're gonna touch on those subjects, you also have to talk about things that men are expected to do, because there are a lot of expectations for men too.
yeah.
And
No,
go ahead.
I went over this list with my barber, like as he was introducing this about the men. Like I went over this list with my barber, who's a young guy, and he was like, "Well, we don't." He was like, "I don't have to like that person." I was like, "That's what we said." You know what I mean? But he was like, "And men don't have to protect you either, and men don't have to provide for you." You know what I mean? And I'm like, "Yeah, that's true." And back to whoever wrote this shirt or whatever type of person, to me, it's screaming insecurities, because people who are comfortable in themselves, they don't walk around having to talk about what they don't have to do and all this, and focusing on the negative. Like I strive to focus on the positive. So it's like, does the front of this shirt say what they do have to do? You know, like
That'd be interesting.
When I think of a
Right.
partnership, it's about, like you said, being less negative and bringing what you can do for each other and putting that together, instead of saying, I don't have to do certain things for you. Of course, we don't have to do certain things for each other, but maybe things will work out a lot better if we do put that extra step. Sometimes there's certain things that I don't want to do, or, I feel a little bit cranky, but if I did them, it's just going to make the day go a lot smoother.
That's actually a really good point. That brings me to, we talked a little bit about this last time, that I mentioned that book, 5 Love Languages.
Mm-hmm.
And that is something that they talk about specifically in that book, is that we have this screwed up conception of love is simply like what you get from the other person, and there's that feeling of in love, and it's like, oh, it's all roses and unicorns and fairies and amazing.
Always
and
did
then,
all the time.
And then everybody suddenly falls out of love after they're married, or after this or after that.
Yeah.
And it's because that they don't actually know what love is. And what love is partly work, but not in the negative sense.
it's an action verb. I tell her that all the time. Love is an action verb. You know
Absolutely.
what I mean?
Yeah, it's something that you're both dedicated to, and you're both very determined to do, both for yourself and for the relationship and for the other person
Yeah, I agree.
or people.
I agree. And a lot of times
Yeah.
people think that it's just going to be, oh, you just accept me as I am. And I mean, like,
Are you saying you're perfect?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know?
You know what I mean? It's like, especially if we're talking about love, then it's just like they might accept, it's like, see where you are, and they're fine with that to a degree, but they also want to be a part of helping you, or just a part of your growth. They want to be with you on that journey. I believe that we are all here to help round each other out, just like as friends, as people in the community together. You know what I mean? And so especially in a relationship, it's almost like, so they don't have to love men or have sex with you. So I don't even know if we're talking about a heterosexual female. I'm trying to figure it out. You know what I mean? But
it's kind of unclear.
Confusing.
yeah, and we're gonna jump around as we talk about this shirt, or I am anyway. So back to the pink. I just said some funny shit to my barber. I was like, "Well, what color is a girl's vagina?" You know what I mean? And I'm like, it's pink. You know what I mean? Like, I might be a little purple, some of them, but like it's pink. So,
Technically, you're always wearing pink.
What did he say?
yeah, you know what I mean? And that's why it's just, to me, that's why it's a little humor in it. That's why it's like, I think that's why it's associated with females. And I remember a time when they would try to make it like dark-skinned girls didn't look right in pink. That was like a saying thing or whatever. And I have like some little cousins who are very dark, you know what I mean? And I think that dark-skinned girls look great in pink. And so now to see it come full circle where it's like females don't even want to be associated with it, it's just like, to me, it's disappointing. It's just like, just enjoy some shit.
Yeah, I like the color. I like other colors too.
Yeah, you know, they say like real men wear pink. Like I used to have a pink shirt before. You know what I mean? I can't really. I don't think I got anything pink in my.
Color.
Okay, yeah, salmon color.
Only pink shirt that I had. The real men wear pink shirt.
So I had a pink polo. You know what I mean? So. I mean, if it look fly, if it's right, like I'll rock it. And I mean, shit. Nowadays, you see a lot of men wearing pink and fuchsia color shoes and shit like that, and that's their business. Like, I mean, even on this picture, the little girl got on a pink shoe. That's what it's like.
Oh, that's so funny. I didn't notice that.
You know, it just stuck out to me right now. It's like it's a dad and a daughter wearing the shirt. And so I think it's cool that the dad wants to be open-minded for his daughter and things like that. But wants her to be able to grow up to whoever and whatever she wants to be.
Yeah.
But he dressed her now, or she picked out them shoes. A lot of parents let their little kids pick out their shoes, and she chose the pink. So, you know, when she's, and the girl in this picture is too young to read. So what about when she gets older and is able to read? Now she's like, well, no, I can't wear pink. And that reminds me of one of the dangers, I was saying, the individualistic and divisiveness of this shirt. A lot of times humans, by human nature, you want to be accepted. You want to be understood and you want to be accepted. So, like, if let's say this shirt was to become real popular, you would start to have people who would, like, change their mind and their opinion just because they want to be accepted. It's
social
like, well,
yeah,
social influence. It's like, well, I was gonna like it, but you know what? You're right, and that's a dangerous thing if you ask me. I'm gonna talk about the shaving. A lot of behavior is learned and modeled by parents and things, and like my mom, she was just like, hair holds odor and stuff like that, and I've noticed that. You know what I mean? It's like, so. Even again now, manscaping is huge. So it's
true.
If men have even
I shaved before this.
And so Alex, I got my hair cut yesterday. You know what I mean? I try to stay trimmed up, fresh for y'all. And you know, while like men can have big burly beards, a lot of times when it has some kind of shape or form to it, that's who the girls are like ooh about. And I'm gonna stick with the like. I'm assuming we talking about legs and underarm because there's not a whole bunch of bearded ladies. I was gonna go for the and you know, no disrespect to those who deal with things or whatever. It's like I'm thinking we talking about like underarms and legs. I seen a commercial the other day where there was a female with hair on her underarms, and I noticed it was a black female, and I'm just like, of course they had the black female with the hair on her underarms. You know what I mean? But there's movies where like Without a Paddle, which is kind of like a funny movie, a stoner flick back in the day or whatever.
I remember that one. Yeah.
For sure. And they had the hippie girls and they had the hair under them and stuff like that.
I remember that.
My thing goes back to like which shaving is something kind of new. I think that's like, as far as female shaving, that's like as far as like the 50s or something. It's still kind of like a very recent thing. They didn't just have handheld razors and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So is it going to stop a male from liking you? I think it depends on the person. There's a Lil Wayne lyric. He'd be like, she said I ain't shaved, so this pussy kind of furry. I said, bitch, I'm a man, so I ain't got no worries. Or something. Like, you know, there's a meme where it says, the girl says, I'm not that shaved, and the man's like, I don't care. And it's like, just throw his box to him. You know what I mean? So I don't think that's going to stop no kind of real procreation. But it's like, if you like out of control with it and you're being funky and stuff, that's the issue. You know what I mean? And you shouldn't want to be like that. Yeah, you know?
I agree.
Even though like attracts like, I think that a lot of times is like a subjective thing. So like you're kind of into the same things when it comes to like attracts like, but then there's always been the big opposites attract. So like me personally, I could be kind of hairy. So it's like, I don't want my girl to be kind of hairy. Well, we gonna have a little cub or something, you know what I mean? So, you know, so, and like if I'm trying to rub up your leg, I don't want no resistance. You know what I mean?
Resistance.
What's going on? So, and I mean, the person that wear that shirt might not like me. I don't know, but that goes, we don't have to like each other. I ain't gonna like bang on you or talk bad about you, but just getting some understanding.
Again, it still goes further than a heterosexual relationship. It could also be, you know, friendships, family members. It can apply to all that. You know, it doesn't have to be just subject to a heterosexual relationship.
She's turned off by this list.
Because it's like, you know, I would cook for my family members. I wouldn't mind cooking for my family members. So I don't see why I would not mind cooking for my girl or for my dude.
Well, so yeah, and I think, and again, it goes back to what we were saying with the presentation. My wife and I were actually having a conversation earlier today, where I don't remember exactly what it was we were talking about, but I presented, and this is on me, I presented information in a way that was kind of aggressive, and it was just like matter of fact, like everybody else who doesn't believe this is crazy. And I do that a lot because I'm a very passionate person, and I don't think about it sometimes when I do it. I'm trying to get a lot better about that, but it's again that issue with creating the dichotomy, and she brought it out to me, and because whenever I do that, I notice that she shuts down a little bit, and she's just like, okay, I don't want to talk about it anymore, and then I feel like she's brushing me off. But in reality, what happens is I'm presenting the situation incorrectly, and so she interprets that as, well, you've already made your decision, and it's not, you're too ingratiated in it, and you're not going to change my mind by yelling at me about it.
Yeah.
I've experienced a lot of that throughout several relationships, and I do try to be more graceful about the way I present things. And so how you mentioned the 5 love languages, I told you about a book that I read where it talked about the way men think and the way women think, and I couldn't think of the one for women, and I felt terrible. But then later I was like, it's intuition, you know what I mean? So like, men are very much matter of factly in this, and based in logic and things like that, and so that's why we come off like, well, doesn't everybody, you know what I mean?
Right.
Where feminine is more subjective, and it's like, well, maybe not everybody, and some more. And this is like, I don't want to say things too much, but it's like you do when you leave things more open-ended and like a softer approach and let them come to their own conclusion about it, then you probably get a little bit further with them, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and that's what I brought up.
Try to lead them to where you're going instead of just telling them, hey, right here, you know what I mean? So
that's what I brought up to her, because I was like, you're right. Like I presented that wrong, because it's not something that, it's something you hear me say all the time, and it's already ingrained in me, and that's actually why I was telling her that's why I like that we started to do this, because I noticed when we're doing this kind of stuff, it's not like, yeah, we'll get passionate, or we'll.
That's the whole point. I mean, we don't want to sit here and just be dull and boring. You want to have those personalities that fuel each other and flare up, that fan the fire and stuff.
But at the same time, we're not aggressive with it, or we're not ingratiated in it. Like, we're willing, like, you're willing to listen to my opinion about something, I'm willing to listen to your opinion about something, and we're all kind of like bouncing ideas off of each other, and that's what a discussion is. And I feel like people, this mentality that is behind the shirt just erases that, and it tries to hide the fact that no, people really do best when we actually have real discussions.
Yeah, so like the last part, listen to your bullshit. It's just like, damn, this is a very closed off person who's not open to anything. And I mean, what do they want? Just a yes man? That's weird to me. And I was going, like how you saying we're not aggressive. I think there's levels to things. I was explaining to her earlier, with one of my deep esoteric books, it says that the masculine is aggression. It is aggressive, and females are reposed, which like they might move a little slower, or want to like maybe lay down and things like that. With the definition of aggression that I have, it's like you have progression and you have regression. You know what I mean? And you notice how aggression is still in there, like with the aggression. So it's like as you progress, or you masculine aggression, we live in a valley. We'd be like, so what's over that mountain? I want to know. I want to see. I'm curious about what's over there. And the feminine might be like, well, nah, we good right here. Let's just stay here. Why you want to go over there? You know what I mean? It might be dangerous. And that goes into like the intuition, because like the example they use is like a bird before it goes and gets its prey. It's still going to be cautious before it goes and gets the seed or whatever. It might be cautious, like, what if there's a predator on the other side? Whereas the male, we might not think about that. You know what I mean? We just going to go get it and come back. You know what I mean? Or whatever. So it's just the different ways of that the brain works and stuff, just touching on the languages. And then like, I like being aggressive. You know what I mean? But there's a such thing as too aggressive, So even if I put sugar and honey on top, I'm still going to be trying to pursue like a end goal, you know what I mean? But I don't have to just be like, yo, this way and now, which I can do sometimes. I think, like, again, that's the mistake I think a lot of men make. But
so
we're here to round each other out.
What about the men that do care more about the gender roles since we're all pretty open. There's still people out there who are just like, no, a woman should only be able to do this, and that.
They sometimes need to be rounded out.
You know, sometimes like they don't even want them to know how to protect themselves. Or the furthest that they can go is cooking and having children. So what about that?
I've definitely met some men. I've known some men like that who are just, you know, women's roles are in the kitchen, in the bedroom, and that's that. Yeah. You know, that's and then, you know, caring for the kids while I go out and I do my thing. Yeah. And I almost feel like it goes at this point. It goes without saying that obviously that's an antiquated.
Yeah, I was like, I think it's cavemanish to me. Like it's unevolved and old fashioned is a nice thing to say because I don't think it was that great then. You know what I mean? So I think it's very primal. And in this progressed and evolved society, I think it's just limiting. I'm the type of person, I like that she brought it up, but it's like, I'm over here going through my checklist. It's like, I'll be teaching you with weapons and I'll teach you self-defense and stuff. Yeah, it's like, to me, I try to treat her like, shit, I might treat her like a boy sometimes. It's like a little rough and things with the activities, but it's just like a friend. You know what I mean? Like it's like a best friend. Like I'm not here to just be like, you stay, I go. Ooh, that's boring to me. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to do that. Like,
how would you feel about a woman who thinks that her man should only have certain roles? Or like I've heard like some girls saying like, I won't cook, but I want my man to cook for me like every single night.
Been there. It was horrible.
Yeah.
I wouldn't wash a dish. Would not. I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Not even for herself.
That's another story.
I
had no problem doing it. You know what I'm saying? But
I think you should want to do those things for yourself. You shouldn't want to live in a dirty house.
And that's why it was horrible. That's the reason why it was. It's like I can't be the only one that doesn't want to deal with this. You know?
and that's where I think a big part of the issue with this, and then with this false dichotomy that we've created between masculinity and femininity, and the fact that we have pitted people against each other. And at the same time, we've built up we've done the converse of that too. We've built up all of these ideals about, you know, romantic comedies and things, and the way the relationship is supposed to be, and what true love is, and all this. And at the same time that they're telling you that you absolutely need a partner, and that partner has to be perfect, and that's your true love, and that's what you need to complete yourself as a human, they're also then telling you, oh, but you don't need to ascribe to gender roles and to this and that. So it just leaves people confused and angry. And then you're left with, well, what is a partner actually? And it can be, a partner doesn't have to be defined by anything, but I think that humans need to be able to be comfortable with themselves. And I've had this conversation with a lot of friends before who were having terrible relationships and this and that. And I had bad relationships many times before I met my wife, and that was how I knew that she was my wife, because prior to meeting her, I had finally started to understand myself much better, and I knew, okay, these are the things that I care about, these are the things that are important to me, and I don't need to compromise my values for anyone. And I need to find, and if I want to find someone, and that was the big thing, is I was able to say if, because most people can't say that. Most people are like, well, I have to find someone with these specific things. You don't have to do anything. Like, you can live your life alone, and some people can do that very successfully. But when you've accepted that that's a possibility and that's something that you could live with, then things kind of fall into place. And after that, I met my wife, and I was like, well, we get along perfectly. Like, this is ideal. Like, let's do it. What are we waiting for?
It makes me think of a couple of things. Like I said, like attracts like. And so once you started to really find and figure out who you were and things like that, then it presented itself. And there's a saying, needing nothing attracts everything. So like how you said, a lot of people are just like, I have to, and you were just like, if, you know. So like once you are completing yourself, and then you can operate from a place of a place of abundance, then you attract those things into your life. The last thing you ever really want to do is be needy and try to attract people into your life, because you're going to attract the wrong people in your life. And I've experienced that so many times. You know what I mean? Like, at this point in my life, I flat out would be like, there was something wrong with me at that time. And I can tell you one of them. Like I said, I was married and divorced, and like the whole divorce thing, it kind of messed me up. You know what I mean? Like, I was young and I wasn't really I never thought it was going to happen, and then I kind of lost that best friend. You know what I mean? And so the people, the friends and things that I attracted in my life after that, because I wasn't completely healed, they were the wrong type of people. Soon I want to get off this list, and I told Nate that we were going to talk about friends, and we haven't rehearsed it at all. You know what I mean? I wanted to give him a heads up so he could like start turning his thoughts and things. But because I don't want to be perceived as us just attacking too much of that.
Right,
we talked about it, you know what I mean? There's probably a lot more we could say about it.
I think that's what they're ultimately trying to get at with this shirt. But it's still, like you said, you have to really see through it just to get to that point that you don't have to do certain things. But at the same time,
it's too negative.
Yeah, it's just the approach is just wrong.
Yeah.
But that's actually why I brought up my wife in the first place, because my wife is my best friend, and that is, I think, an important and necessary connection. I don't really believe that anyone can or should have large groups of like really, really close friends. I don't think that's...
I said that to somebody earlier.
You know?
I said that to... Oh, by the way, before I forget, bro. Yeah. Okay, somebody after watching the second show was like... actually, the third show, the episode you were just on.
Yeah.
They were like, I know I'm in a relationship or whatever, but the white guy is freaking cute. He's hot.
Don't tell my wife.
I was like, I'm gonna save that one for the show to tell him. You know what I mean? And has been raving about this guy since they started watching the episode. You know what I mean? I'm just like, okay, you know, but glad I have him on the show. You know what I mean? But yeah, I wanted to capture that reaction. But I was just telling somebody earlier, because they were like, I think you're one of my very few friends. They're like the only friend I have, because like I give like that straight shooter perspective without sugarcoating things. And she was like, I would say she. Yeah, it was a she. It was a she. It wasn't, you know, that thinks he's freaking hot, whatever. But
there's a lot of gay men that like me too. So I'm just saying.
That was the episode before you got here. You know what I mean? But they're like, I was like, you're one of my only friends, and there's like, that's probably kind of pathetic. And I was like, no, I think thinking you need to have a lot of friends is pathetic.
It is.
You know, because like the wiser you become. I was just listening to this one life coach or something. They was just saying like it sucks to accept it, but the people who are really meant to be in your life, in your inner circle, they're gonna be a very few people, and they will make sure that they show you that over time. You know, and I'm one of those. I'm gonna jump around, but I was like, you know, if you love something, let it go, it comes back, and things like that. And I like to let seeds begin to be planted and grow. Like, so we've known each other for a few years. We stopped like training together, but like I said, we stayed in touch. And then it's like, then we started training. He became my trainer again. And now on a whole nother platform, we are...
Yeah, now we're doing this.
Yeah, now we're doing this. So it's like things will reveal themselves over time. So somebody who just, my friend, and feeling like they have to, a lot of times that fizzes out and burns out fast anyway.
Yeah.
I don't believe in just immediately dismissing people either, because you might burn a bridge. I always tell her, harder than saying goodbye, sometimes hello can make you cry. So, you know, like being in love with a person, not necessarily that picture, being in love with a person or being somebody's friend, I think I love my friends. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not, if I can't like have that vibe with you, then there's business people you do business with and associate with and stuff like that. But if you're gonna call a person a friend, you should have some level of love, trust, and a bond. You know, and I don't think that people if you really love somebody, whether it's like romantically or not, or if you're really their friend, you are not going to be a yes man. That is not a person that loves you or that's your friend. So you could be everything on that list, and the person that just accepts you, accepting yourself and settling because we never stop growing. So if you're just like, this is me and this is what I am, and that's, you got to take it as that.
Or someone who doesn't believe in you tries to hold you back.
Yeah, you should be with somebody that can at least see something a little more than you see in yourself. And that's why I think like it's good to have a spouse and things like that, because back to the men might think a certain way. Now, like I said, a spouse can be any, it can be same sex partners, whatever. Now that I'm doing this talk show shit, I'm trying to be real technical and at the same time, it's like that's the real person I am. But if you just here to nitpick me, I don't give a fuck. You know what I'm saying? But it's like you might see things a certain kind of way, but that person who loves you enough or has a good enough bond with you and actually pays attention to who and what you are and what you're about, they could actually present you with a quality alternative perspective, and you'd be like, I didn't think of it like that. You know what I mean? And so they adding to you. They're not taking away from you by doing that. They're back to the men being logic and the woman being intuition. I'd be like, but because of this and this, you know, it got to be this. And then it could be like, well, maybe it's that. Maybe it's a whole nother thing. And I'm like, you know what? You might be right. You know? So I think that, and so like this person was like, you know, you're probably the only friend I have, and thank you for never sugarcoating shit and stuff like that. It's like I learned, I just don't like to sugarcoat shit. You know what I mean? I don't mean to be a rude asshole or nothing like that. But instead of beating around bushes, I'll just cut them down. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when it all falls down, when everything hits the fan and the results come back or whatever, a lot of times they'd be like, well, you was right. And I'm not trying to be like, I was right. But it's just there to be like, you said that. You know what I mean? Like, I'd rather, that's why I'm like, fuck being a yes man, fuck trying to like pacify a person. I'd rather give them the real truth, because then especially if it's based off experience or wisdom, because then when the data comes back in, when it will make them love me more. It'll make our bond stronger to make them trust me more, because they're like, you the one that said that shit. You know what I mean? Like everybody else was just like, no, or accepting me at that level, this regular level, but you was the one saying like, go for it, or don't be like that. And so they'll trust you more.
That actually reminds me. That's a really good point, because it reminds me of something that I read. I want to say it was Jordan Peterson, one of his 12 Rules for Life book.
So we don't start a book list.
I got too many books. I read too much. So
that's good. Like eventually we're gonna start like really like having a specific book that we focus on, and giving it time, giving the viewers time to actually rock with the book too. You know what I'm saying? Like, because we might can sit down and read a book in a day or listen to the audio book and things. Some people have way busier schedules. Some people have kids, a lot of things. So we'll take it and some people aren't that great of readers, but we'll take it at a certain pace to where they can spend time with it too. I'm dealing with a lot and stuff, so that's something we're gonna work into, because I don't want to start it and then they be like, well, you ain't read the goddamn book. You know what I mean?
But so what he talks about in his book is again, honesty and truthfulness, and he says it just unequivocally. So his argument is that you always must be honest. There's almost never, I don't even think he says almost, I think he says exclusively that there is never a situation where it's okay to lie. Unless
I got the truth tattooed across my throat, so I ain't come here to lie. You know what I mean?
Yes, and it's more. It's not just so that you're not sugarcoating things, but it's more to protect yourself as well. And that's something that he talks about, because every time someone says something that like I don't know, you're in a group of people, for example, and somebody did something really horrible, and then the group just kind of agrees with it, and you're just like, oh yeah, okay, haha, that's funny. It's like, no, you're lying to yourself, and each time you do that, you defect your character slightly.
Exactly.
And
that's
then
why I'm saying I don't like this shirt, no matter how many people wear it. But
and it's if you continue to do that over time, you start to become those lies that you've told to other people, and then you'll realize that you're now doing things that you don't even approve of and go against your own moral system.
Exactly.
And so while some people may make the argument that telling the truth all the time can be brash or can be rude or this or that. I don't agree with that. I think it's rude and it's cruel and it's unkind to not tell the truth. And that's something I struggled with a long time in my life because I was always a people pleaser. I was
wanted to be liked and accepted.
I was always so concerned with, oh man, if this person doesn't like me, it means there's something wrong with me. And you know, and if I
But sometimes it just means there's something wrong with them.
Sometimes. Yeah. And again, if you tell the truth and if they actually listen to that and internalize it, maybe they'll actually change and become a better person. And then guess what? Then you're great friends.
Yeah, exactly.
And they thank you.
Exactly. Like, you have something to say?
So, the author with the 13 things that mentally strong people should not do, I was watching her interview and she was talking about women, about how a lot of women may feel like they can't exactly say how they feel or tell the truth because they're scared of being judged, or they'll feel guilty, or in front of a man they may feel like their point is coming across as negative. And I think that's something important to talk about, because I feel like, personally, I feel like a lot of men have it a lot easier when it comes to speaking their mind and not being judged about it. But when it comes to a woman and they try to speak their mind, they get a lot of flack for it. How do y'all feel about that?
I'm gonna say, why do you? I think at a general level, I think that's true. I mean, I would agree that women have a more challenging time with the place we are in society, but I'm gonna just, well, I mean, I agree with your statement. I don't think it's necessarily right. And I mean, like, if we're talking about it at a social standard, I mean, which I think we are. Like, I don't think my girlfriend is sitting here trying to get at me on the low about all this. Like, I don't think that's how he made a face looking like that. Like, no, that's not what's happening. She
quickly.
Like, no, like we already discussed things. Like, she's the female representation of this show. So, like, on some Lorax shit, she's speaking for the trees. You know what I'm saying? So she's saying some things that hopefully the female viewers would appreciate being said. And I think that's absolutely true. I think it's gradually changing, especially with all these different movements and stuff. Like I said, we're discussing a shirt that's just very flamboyant about a female opinion per se, but it could have been made by a dude. We don't even know who the fuck made the shirt. You know what I mean?
That'd be funny.
But to tie in both of what y'all were talking about, I think, because I'm somebody, this is a lot of experience speaking, you can't be afraid to be disliked.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You can't be afraid to be the one that goes against the grain when it comes time for something that you believe or know to be right. And I like to base my beliefs in as many facts as I can while still going off of some faith. I mean, everything you don't have all the absolute answers for, but I say I go with whatever solves the most question marks, and then I'll take that leap of faith in the last little bit. You know what I mean? But if it's just a whole bunch of blanks, I'm not fucking with it. So whatever I really feel strongly about, it's a reason I feel that strongly about it. And I still strive to not be absolutes, because there's always exceptions. There could be some that one last missing thing could change everything. But if I feel that strongly and passionately about something, I'm gonna stick with it, and I don't care who don't like it. And like I said, based off my experiences, a lot of times after the data come back in the results, it's like, I said that. You know what I mean? It's like Jacoby. So, but yeah, just whether you're a person who wants to be liked all the time, or you know, it's a characteristic. You know what I'm saying? It happens. I think it's good to want to be liked. You know, I always say, like, it's a Jay-Z lyric. He's like, I made myself so easy to love. You know, so like I work on myself, even though I'm not afraid to be the one that's like no, or you know, have a different view. I work on myself to where I'm still a likable person on average. And even if you're a woman, I mean, you gotta, they call it the female suffrage or some shit. Like, I don't think it has to be like, you know, you suffer not being able to voice it. Sometimes you gotta suffer the consequences of using your voice. You know what I mean? Like, and I don't think you should like jeopardize yourself or nothing like that. We're talking about like an emotional state. You know what I mean? So it's just like, I don't know. I wouldn't hold my tongue or bite my tongue, but I'm still open to the feedback that I get.
I would agree. I don't think you should feel like you have to hold back, but I think sometimes you should really take into consideration how people might feel about what you say, or just really make sure that you're making your point across clearly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I hope she coming in a little bit loud. It might have been like a long day. Like she said, we worked out and stuff earlier, but we train a lot, but I feel like she's just a little bit low. We tested new equipment, so hopefully it's picking up real good. That's like, y'all might see me like kind of looking, we good? Okay, for sure. I'm just trying to be sure. That's it, because when we go back, I don't want to be like, damn, it wasn't loud enough, But I don't want to keep being over here like louder. And if y'all see me drinking a lot of water, it's kind of warm in this mug, so I'm trying to stay cool. You know?
He's already down to my second water bottle here.
Oh, for sure. I'm going to catch up. I'm going to have to pee like a mug after this show. But yeah. So, but I want to go a little bit more about friends. Like, this is a topic that's very important to me because I've been through a lot of friends. I think we all have.
Yeah.
And one thing I wanted to say, do you think is sometimes, well, we all said that, a friend is not just necessarily a yes man and things like that. Mm-hmm. Like recently, I've noticed a lot of times I'll be like, people might get mad when I'm saying stuff to them, and it's somebody that I'm fond of, but I'll be like, I don't know what your definition of a friend is. I don't know if you just think somebody is somebody that's going to agree with you, but I promise you it's not. You know what I mean? And these people come and go and whatever, but it's like, just remember I said that shit. But also, I think what I've experienced now, and there's a certain word that I want to kind of avoid that will describe a lot of people, but I'm trying to save that for a later show. You know what I mean? But what I've encountered, I don't know if it's because of where I live. A lot of people be like, yo, Vegas is different. I love Vegas for the reasons I love Vegas, but where it's a transplant city and a lot of people aren't from here, almost nobody's from here, it's kind of hard to find people that you genuinely click with and things, especially that's going to be built for the long haul. And I don't know, at first I thought it was just because, like I said, transplant city, and this is like a big city, this Vegas, like kind of like in New York or something, everybody's there, they're focused on their thing, but I think it's also maybe like a sign of the times or something. Like, I feel like people aren't the way they used to be
at all.
You know what I mean? And
yeah,
it could be based off music, or I know it's based off music, like shit, it's harder to find girls and shit like that. Like, it used to be like real easy to like just chill with females or different people and stuff, but now like with the music, with like, I ain't hating on them or nothing, but like city girls are like a rich nigga my type. It's like with the way music is going, sometimes it's just like if you're not like tricking on the person or spending money on them and stuff like that, they're not even really trying to associate with you, which is like, if that's the basis, that's not a genuine relationship either. So it's like you still really aren't forming friends just because you choose to spend your time around somebody that's giving you stuff all the time. You know what I mean? I think the real testament of the friendship is going to be the person that's not just spoiling you all the time. And I take care of my friends. I like to be there for my friends. I like to give them things and shit like that. But it's like, I'm not going to buy my friends. You know what I mean? I don't buy my friends. And if I could say that about the females, it's especially because with dudes, it's one thing to be focused on your own goals and stuff like that. But it's like everybody seems to be so competitive these days. You know what I mean? They feel like there's a saying, the candle loses no light by lighting another candle. And I feel like so many people refuse to even try to light the other candle. You know, it brings another saying. They want you to do good, but not better than them. Mm-hmm. You know, so it's just like the second a person thinks that you might be onto something a little better than them, instead of even joining forces with you and helping making that thing greater, they gotta be like, no, I'm finna run off and try to do something else. And it's just like, I've literally seen so many people where it's just like, we could have put both of that energy together and gotten way further, but we're both still here with this idea or this project because we're not putting our resources together. And like, that's just, to me, I mean, I'm gonna let somebody else talk about it for a second, but I think a lot of friends, the word has become even thinner because people are always competing with each other.
Yeah.
Well, and I think it's foolish to want to be the big fish in the little pond at all times, because that's the mentality that I think a lot of people have that you're talking about, that they want to have people who are doing okay or doing well, I guess, around them, but not better than them.
Yeah.
And so if you're the top of that pond, then where do you have to go?
Exactly.
You're just sitting right. You can't get out of the pond ever.
Grow.
You can't get to the ocean.
Right.
You know. But if you're surrounding yourself with people who you know are smarter than you, or you know are stronger than you, or you know are healthier, or whatever it is, the thing that you're trying to achieve, then you now have.
If you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. It's an age-old saying. If you're the smartest person in the room, then you're in the wrong room.
It's a major insecurity.
It is.
Yeah.
Well, one thought experiment that I really like is it's talked about by a number of different people, but it calls me back to Napoleon Hill, famous author of Think and Grow Rich. A little bit interesting book, but one thing he talks about is doing this really important thought experiment to help him sort out his goals and his life. And what it was is he essentially meditates and he imagines being in a boardroom surrounded by all of the people that he knows he has the absolute most respect for. I think he talked about like Henry Ford and Thomas Jefferson, a couple other people, something like that. But he implants, and he knows that, these are just creations of his own psyche, but he implants those people in there, and then he has conversations with them in this kind of meditative state.
I used to do that with rappers.
Yeah, no, seriously. I mean, it places you in a meditative state where you can commune with, by humbling yourself first and saying, okay, well, sure, yeah, maybe I'm the one giving voices to these people that I'm imagining, but these are personifications of different people who I admire and I respect and I strive to be like. Yeah. And I know I'm not there yet. So I'm going to have these conversations, whether these people are dead or not. I'm going to have these conversations and see what comes of it.
Yeah.
I think it was in that same book, I think I read that like Henry Ford, he was and the Coca-Cola guy. They admitted they were smart enough. They weren't the masters at those fields. They was like they were smart enough to get the people who were the masters at those fields.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it goes back to
brain trust. They created their brain trust to
Yeah. And so it's just like, like to me it's being resourceful and building a team. There's so many moving parts to stuff, and then even if you can do it all yourself, like I mean, even this, like I could sit here and talk about it myself. I could, edit everything. I could do it all, but you know what? It's no fucking fun. Now it's like not just the work part. It's just no fun. That's like the little kid with no friends who just he's like, you know what I mean? Like it's like the little kid in this room just like. Nah, man. Especially like when you had sisters that didn't play with you and shit like that, and you had to like develop that in yourself. I like playing with friends and on the team and stuff like that. And it's like you feed off each other. And I'm like the person still like we talking about like why friends are so hard to get and develop. It's like I've never been a jealous type of person. Yeah. I've probably been jealous like one time in my life, and I can't even remember when. I'm just trying to be like neutral or be fair about it. It's like I get inspired and motivated.
Thanks.
You know what I mean? I feed off of that energy like in a positive way. You know what I mean? Like, and it's like I'll offer the opportunity to play together, and then if that other person declines, then I'm gonna just still have to keep it pushing and moving and do me. And even in those, as I'm doing it, I'll be like, oh, well, I got this idea from such and such, or like I seen somebody doing this and it gave me that idea. You know what I mean? Just like we said, a candle never loses light by lighting another one. A long time ago, I realized that you can't be afraid to empower people. To me, that's like a humongous insecurity if you're afraid to empower somebody,
Also, just because you empower somebody doesn't mean that they're going to always be able to do it exactly how you taught them. Like, I've heard...
Yeah. They can steal your sauce, they can steal your recipe, but the flavor ain't going to be the same. That's a big one, you know what I mean?
I mean, nothing wrong with that, but nobody can take anything away from you.
And that's where I think... that's where I think I try to do the best in my field. Because the fitness industry has a big problem with that, where trainers and gyms and everything are terrified that if they actually teach them what they need, if they actually teach people what they need to know to do it themselves, they're just going to leave and do it themselves.
Yeah.
But that's
not true.
9 out of 10 people that I train don't come to me for that purpose in the first place. A lot of them, I've trained people who for years who very clearly they can very much program their own stuff now. They really know their stuff, but they still come to me because number one, we're friends, and number two, they appreciate the motivation and they appreciate having different opinions and different ideas to bounce off.
Exactly. Still sharp and still. Like I said, we have the tunnel behind us. It has a coach, artificial intelligence, all that. As soon as we started training with Nate and brought him here to be our personal trainer, I was like, yeah, I'm glad to have Nate back. You know what I'm saying? I was like, it feels good to have one of the homies with me. You know what I mean? Like, it's a motivator. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to just sit and play with robots all the time. I got a lot of toys and shit like that, but I like human interaction at the same time and genuine people. I think a lot of times, I'm gonna keep going back. There's so much I want to say about friends because I hope these people see it. You know what I mean? And hold on, bro. That's just the round timer. I'll go off it again. You know what I'm saying? But we in the heart of the shit. But thank you for keeping me on point with the time. I think a lot of times, just like I was saying, maybe the music and I think it's more music than movies that have negatively influenced people to where they don't know how to be friends. But also because so many people get burned by other people in their life that they kind of become, if they don't become damaged, they pick up negative traits and habits as still a learned behavior, as a kind of a survival mode. You know what I mean? And I've always been like, you know, if you, I say don't know love, can't show love. It's a DMX lyric, or it's like, you know, if you want to, they say if you want a good friend, then be a good friend.
Yeah.
You know, another thing I seen recently, they was like, always be there for those who are there for you, always there for you. You know, I'm not the friend that will be at the club with you, but won't show up to help you move.
Yeah.
You feel me? Like I'll do both. You know what I mean? Like I really try to be there for my friends, and I've been burned a lot of times, so I'm not an easy person to just hop in my friend box. Absolutely not. You have to like earn that shit. You know what I'm saying? And it takes time. I don't care if you came in like yes, I'm team Jacoby. Ooh. I'm gonna take note of that. And then I'm like, now show me.
Yeah.
You feel me? And you're gonna show me by being there in and out. And I wanted to ask Nate, like, you know, how is it to deal with a person like myself? You know, how is it for you to deal with a person like myself? Remember, we didn't go over this, so I don't even know what the hell he's gonna say. And I wanted to surprise him with that question. You know what I mean? So
it's an interesting question. So I was actually talking. Who was I talking to about that? I think I was talking to my wife about this, and I was telling her that I am really glad that we started doing this because I mean we trained together for a little while and then we had that break and then we trained again and we
see we don't even like talking about the break. We like to break the.
I mean it was just because it was just like.
Life and times and stuff.
I was doing stuff. You were doing stuff. It was all.
And I didn't like his friend.
Yeah.
We ain't gonna say who he is, but I didn't like his friend, and I felt like the influence of that friend was kind of affecting him. And you know, as time progressed, him and that person are no longer friends. And he was kind of like, Kobe, you was absolutely right. That stuff you was saying, you know what I mean? So like going back to what I was saying, because I'll be like, he's not your friend, bro. I was like, he's not your real friend. I don't care if y'all moved here together, if y'all have a lot of time invested. And and I want you to finish your statement about the question I asked you. But it's just like, it don't matter. Sometimes they say expired friendship is not a beef. So it maybe their friendship just expired, but I've seen somebody that was being taken advantage of. And so how he was saying a lot of gyms don't want to teach people things because they scared they're going to take off. I was like, bro, you could do this shit anywhere. I'm like, you are the business here. You could do this anywhere. You know what I mean? When I met him, I was like, shit, let things come full circle for me. I'm going to have him in my gym. You know what I mean? Like, training people. And what you were saying about empowering people, they should look at they self as like a stair step or a ladder. It's like you shouldn't want to just capitalize when you're talking about like monetizing off of a person like that you're training or that it's a trainer in your facility. You shouldn't want to just I got you forever. You know, just enjoy having them for that time and enjoy seeing the growth and being like you said you plan on opening your own even more than you already work for yourself and have your own business now, but the next phase is going to require a lot more social media, a lot more camera and everything. When you told me that, I was, to use your words, I was honored and humbled to get the person, to get to be the person to help you along with that. Like I said, it's like I'm not afraid to empower people. You know what I mean? So I believe they say always get the credit. You know what I mean? It's like, hopefully, like I said, when I see stuff, I'll be like, yo, I got this idea from so-and-so. I seen some, this is a Drink Champ style thing. You know what I mean? I'm not over here acting like, I just made it up on my, no. Shout out to them, you know what I mean? And we fuck with y'all. I'm not trying to copy y'all, you know what I mean? We talk about different subjects and things, but it's like, but I fuck with them, you know what I mean? And I was inspired and motivated by it. Have no shame admitting that or saying that. So I think that people should just enjoy you. They say some things are for reasons, some things are for seasons. Just enjoy that person while you have them and be the best you can, because they won't, hopefully if they're real, they won't just be like, you know, deuces and all of that, you know what I mean? That was the one little timer. It just went completely, or okay, so I'm gonna hit that motherfucker again. This is just a vibe. I haven't even had enough time to really just like learn to master everything, and we might just limit the conversations at certain points, but these ain't one of those, so you just get to look at that shit, you know? But back to how is it to have a friend like me?
Yeah, so
how challenging. I'm like, oh, you kiss my house, a friend like me. No, I was like, I could be challenging, you know.
So I remember when we were there, and you were saying that, and I was like, you know, I don't know, because I'd been friends with that person for a long time, and so I was like, yeah, I don't know, but we'll see.
It's like, who is this guy talking about my friend? You know?
Yeah, and that was kind of my idea of it, but I also like, I didn't not believe it. You know, at the time, and I think part of me knew that you were right, but I couldn't accept it yet because I hadn't fully convinced myself of it.
Because you wanted to see the best. You wanted to think the best of your friend and see the highest they could be. Yeah,
and so as a result of that, I stayed where I was for a while, as you know, and then I finally ended up seeing it after more and more of that same thing that you saw. Which I respect. That's why I said planting seeds, and I'm not trying to cut you off, but it's just like it's about planting seeds. The last show when I said it's a great thing to be able to watch you transform and grow and transcend, and I said you haven't switched up completely. I wouldn't respect the person that just was like, you know what, you're right, and takes his hat off and slams it and storms out the door, because then I'm gonna be like, damn, this motherfucker just believe anything a motherfucker say to him or something. Even though I said things that I hoped you would be able to see, you know what I mean? I wasn't just trying to come from some abstract world. I was like, no, look at this, and if you pay attention to this. And so, like I say, just planting seeds that he was able to observe, and over time you came to your own conclusion. Yeah. You know what I mean? It wasn't that I changed his mind. I made him aware of some things. That's what's back to the friends or even like the spouse and stuff. I made him aware of some things or a perspective that he might not have observed on his own. And then over time, because he wasn't just closed-minded and closed off to it, you know, he made his own informed decision down the road.
Right.
And that's what led me. That's what led me back here, back to training you guys, and then being on this show and everything.
Let it go, and it comes back, and just things come full circle. You know, especially if they're meant to be. You know what I mean? Not forcing anything. You know.
And then what it made me recognize was that, like, man, number one, you had some pretty good foresight. Maybe I was blinded. Also, maybe that was part of it. But I definitely think foresight is a big part of it. And it was also that I could see that you have a good heart, you know, and that's something that
I think the same with you.
Thank you. But that was something that was huge to me, because I noticed that person, he didn't do those sorts of things. There was a lot of back talking actually about you to be honest.
I believe it. Like I wanted to interrupt him, like I did not like his friend. You know what I mean? But he felt threatened at the same time, and he likes people with like and I'm not talking about you because you're extremely smart. That's why you're there. But he likes people with a lower IQ than him. He likes people with what he perceives to be a lesser intelligence. And no longer am I even attacking that person. It's just people watching this. You got to be aware of those type of people because they will take your kindness for a weakness. They will try to take advantage of you. And they can be very smooth about it. Like I said, there's another word that describes people that I'm trying to avoid right now.
Social vampires.
That's a nice way to put it. You know what I mean? But there's down the line, there's going to be an episode that we really brush up on before we talk about it because this ain't something that you just want to like just throw the title around. You know what I mean? Right. But as you gain experience and wisdom, you start to really be able to categorize a certain type of person. And at the time, I knew nothing the fuck about it. You know what I mean? My senses and intuition, like you say, foresight, I was just like, I don't like this person. You know, and because I was so fond of Nate, I mean, like we around each other every day for fucking an hour. You spend an hour a day with this person. You know what I mean? Like, and that was the top of my morning. So it was like I wake up. A lot of good
conversations too.
Yeah, we did. Yeah. We built a lot, and and I say vibes don't lie. So it's just like this is the person I'm spending all my time with, and then it's like the other person walk through the door and say some dumb shit or some bullshit. You know what I mean? And it's just like. Bruh, yeah, it's like why would you even, you know, and then like it's just watching and noticing changes that go on around. It's just like, why is he doing that if it should be you or different things? And then especially like I said, I'm gonna say it every episode, I'm gonna just say I'm 6 years older than him, you know what I mean? And I've had a lot of different jobs and different things, so I've been taken advantage of so many fucking times, you know what I mean? That's why I say my friendship is not easily earned at all. You know what I mean? If the real gonna recognize real and the cream gonna rise to the top. But a lot of things I've seen them happen a dozen times, and if not to me, then somebody around me. So that's why, like, you know, so this is the first time you told me that there was a lot of back talk, so let's get back to that. You know what I mean? Like somebody talk behind my back. But yeah.
Yeah, well, it was funny to me because the things that were said were qualities that he possessed. And he was ascribing them to you, like narcissism and
So he's trying to like gaslight. Would that be appropriate?
I would just say that's
shifting of the blame.
Yeah. You're trying to make me to be. It's like it's not me, it's him.
Yeah, deflecting.
Deflecting. Yes, it's not me, it's him. And I see. For a second, I thought I was gonna talk about his good qualities. I was like, yeah, because I got a lot of them. Hey,
oh no, sorry. I thought you meant
stepping on the bass, bro. The camera move. Come on.
It's good.
Okay. So what he was doing, and I going back and looking at this now, I can see it with a lot of people is that there were always
and Nate didn't catch the cue when I said there was a word that we wasn't gonna use.
Yeah, he
like, you know what I mean?
I didn't know that was the word that you were going for. My bad.
I was like, he didn't catch the clue.
But
no Wheel of Fortune or for this guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't get hints. Sorry.
You crazy.
But no. So there was always a very quick and easy identification of specific qualities in other people and dismissing those qualities. Yeah. And so that's something that I can recognize now.
This from a motherfucker who walk in barefoot drinking a 2-liter of Mountain Dew. Okay, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you're not wrong. But so as far as the things that it made me realize,
we're like, damn, Kobe.
I mean, it's true. It happened. But what it made me realize is that, okay, well, I understand the recognition of those tendencies now, so it's easier to identify, and that's not how you approach life. You know, that's not those are not things, because there were assumptions made about you and your relationships. You know? And
hater. But anyway.
And
my polygamous relationship. Okay.
Yeah, and so, but now, like, especially knowing you guys more and knowing that aspect of it, it's like, well, it's not it's not even close to that at all. It's not some dominance thing. It's not some and that was the assumption that
misogynistic.
And I almost said his name, but I'm telling you, this mother go come. He would try to come barking up your tree, but it's like that shit don't work with me. So it's like it's funny to talk about dominance because I think this person treats his female like a fucking like he's the caveman. If you ask me, you know what I mean, and that's just. You used to like be roommates with him, so you would know more. And I'm not even trying to. I don't even have to like defend myself so much against this person because that would be like a weakness to me. You know what I mean? Because I already said I didn't like this person, so I can't expect him to have a whole bunch positive to say about me. But you already heard him say that like he thinks that person was wrong, and you have more insight into me and my relationship and how I am than that. And I mean, I want you to keep talking and stuff and. But it's just like, that shit's funny. And I think that person was very cavemanish, which was further reason why I didn't like him. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah. And again, I don't want to harp on this because I don't.
Well, we talking about friends, and it's like hopefully learn from our experience. You know what I'm saying? Like we're not naming this person. If you know, you know. But we're talking about experiences that we've been through and that we've learned from, and we sharing these experiences so that other people can maybe learn from that shit and be able to avoid it. And if you so like we're not talking about a person. We're talking about. An idea and an event and experience. You know what I mean? We're talking about things that we've been through, and
so just goes without saying. I feel like I should say this that I'm not trying to harbor any ill will or anything like that. I hope that he does well and changes and
I was gonna say I hope he evolves and grows.
Yeah, exactly, and
becomes a better person. I'm surprised we start talking about him because I asked him how is it to be a friend, to a person like me. But they say give your enemies 1,000 chances to become your friend. Never give your friend a single chance to become your enemy. So I hope the person does change. Like I said, so many times I've heard people come back and be like, "You was right and you said that." Woo woo. I hope only not for vanity or pride, but just for the better of two people being able to work together and advance. Or just, out of sake of love, I hope that's the case. You know what I'm saying? Anything that the person would want us to, we could talk later about what they said specifically. And I wouldn't hold it against that person. I would just make sure that I did the work in myself to make that nothing further from the truth. You know what I mean?
But the reason I brought it up in the first place is that I think it presents, I don't feel like I should use this word because I used it in a negative connotation before, but I think it presents an interesting dichotomy.
I knew he was going to say that word again. Yeah. Go for it. That's his word of the day.
Right. But so the reason for that, though, is that there's a difference between how I surround the people that I surround myself with now and the people that I want around me now. And I used to be afraid of that sort of energy. I want to say
but see, that's real masculinity and come on his own skin because he can admit that he used to be afraid of something and stuff like that. So I respect that. You know what I mean? That you can say that, and then be awareness. Now you can grow from it and through it. So.
So my fear was that I tend to gravitate towards people with like dominant personalities, with strong personalities. Partly because I was always a pleaser, and I had those issues. It's why I had a bad relationship in college years ago. It's why this person and I ended up being where we were.
I don't want to talk bad about his mama because he left a warning with that, but not his parents. But I think when things like that occur, is something in the household. A lot of times, maybe overbearing parents, and it could be done out of love, but strictness can kind of turn into overbearing, and then just especially if you want to be the good little boy. Like I'm saying from the time I was like Nate's a good little boy. You know what I mean? Like I'm a bad boy. You know what I mean? I got a lot of whoopings, a lot of punishments and stuff like that. But it's just like, but carry on.
Well, yeah. So I wanted to be near that, but I didn't realize that I wanted that in the past because I had a deficiency in character, and I was afraid of making my own decisions and doing things for myself. But now that I've grown past that and I don't fear those things, I can make my own business. I know that I can make it successful. I know that I can do these things. I know I can run an entire gym by myself. Those are
because you already was.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I said, you already was.
And so now that I know that I'm there, and I'm grateful for that experience. I got to say that as messed up as some of the stuff that happened was, it allowed me to know that I can do this whole thing by myself.
You grow through what you go through.
And so having friends with dominant personalities or with strong personalities like yourself, and I don't mean domineering, because that's the difference.
He was like, I surround myself back then. I was like, I'm not dominant. I'm not a dominant person.
That's what I'm saying. Because you do have a dominant and a strong personality, and before that would have been a real problem for me, because it would have just been, whatever you say, Kobe, whatever you say, and that's...
He wasn't like that when I met him.
Yeah, that's true. When we first started,
I could see looks and things when I became too much, and because I'm always working on myself, I would try to ease up and just say a little something to help him think or make him think, and then go about it.
But that speaks more to the fact that you're more tempered than that, because
y'all hear this shit.
So you were able to recognize that, and that's probably why it didn't end up in that direction, because you have the type of personality where you probably could have done that to me, but you're not going to do that.
Yeah, I always tell her if I like you, I think sometimes people are more confused about if I like them because of my strong personality and stuff. But I always tell her if I don't like you, you're gonna know I don't like you. That's not the mystery. It's it takes sometimes people time to grow and think about me and what I am and who I am to realize oh, he likes me, he's my friend, you know what I mean? But because it goes back to that, I'm not gonna be just that yes person, you know what I mean? I might be the person that snatches the bandage off and is gonna make you say ouch, but then once you're done saying ouch, you're gonna be like, hey, but thank you know what I mean? So yeah.
But yeah, and that's what brought me to being able to have those kinds of relationships without them becoming toxic, because I don't think that it's entirely that it's ever entirely one person. I think we talked a little about this in the last episode, where you're responsible for all of your own actions and reactions, and as much as other people can try to be manipulative or can try to do this or that other thing, it's only going to work so much as you allow it to work.
That's true.
So if you have that strength,
he's preaching to me. He's like, look, because I do have my flaws and things, so I'm taking what he says as stuff that I still need to work on and grow on, honestly.
And me too. Yeah, I have a lot, just like I was talking about earlier in the episode, where my wife pointed out to me that I come across too aggressive with certain things sometimes because I'm so passionate about it, and I get too one-sided and I don't allow for other opinions.
Well, I pride myself on saying the things that'll help him not be so one-sided, but at the same time, because you are so passionate and straightforward with what you like, at least we know where you stand. You know what I mean? That's why my religious beliefs, we actually have different spiritual beliefs and stuff like that, but our moral compass or whatever allows us to be able to gauge to where it's just I know where he stands. You know what I mean? And if you know where a person stands, you can work with them. You know what I mean? And things, but the person that's just all over and other, it's just yo, I don't know. You know what I mean? So I'd take a person like him. And I don't know if you feel comfortable with me saying what your spirituality used to be or whatever.
Yeah,
but, okay.
Yeah, of course.
So he used to be atheist, whereas I'm very far from atheist. But it's instead of clashing and being yo, no, I can't fuck with this guy and woo woo woo, it was well, at least I know where he stands. You know what I mean? And I know that he's a very fact-oriented type of person, and like I said, so am I. A lot of people with spiritual beliefs and religious beliefs aren't. I said it, you know what I mean? It was I'm very spiritual, but a lot of them just have this blind faith, you know what I mean? And it's, and I'm very much not a blind faith person. And then and we don't have to go very deep into detail. What's that face? You think I'm a blind face person?
No, I'm not thinking that.
Oh, okay. I was like, when you make faces like that, when a person makes a statement, the audience gonna be like, yo, she think different. I gotta clarify. And
this
I'm a very
is like bro talk to me.
Well, who's gonna come to you next?
I ain't got nothing to say about this.
Okay, we're gonna wrap it up really quick. I wanted to talk about friends. She knows him because of me, and their relationship is still budding. It's still a new relationship. I hadn't forgot my.
I ain't got no friends. This okay, is my like one friend.
I was gonna say it a little nicer, you know what I mean? Like, but that's why she don't even like the topic, you know what I mean? But back to what we were saying, like, I think it's a bad thing for a person to think that they have to have a lot of friends. And at her age, being 23, I understand how it can be important to the homie in the back. He like, well, she's only 23. So it took me a while, and I used to at her age, I had like a group. It was like a group. It was all coworkers and stuff. But we used to just sit back after work, drink a beer, smoke blunts. It would be like a group of us, and that was like, and they was all white. But it was like I was living in like a rural area and just working and stuff. But then when I moved here, that's when I said things changed, and then I had some friends and tragic stuff. But that was the beginning of like, it's like there's a saying, your elevation might require your isolation. You know, so as I began to elevate more and more, I lost the friends in my real life, in my physical life. I lost online friends, but because I know the difference between right and wrong, and I'm not afraid to like go against the group, I kept going, and then I attracted newer people and things like that. And so at her age, I really empathize. I try to empathize and not sympathize. So I don't feel sorry for her because I can see a person who is on a path to greatness. And so at my age and my wisdom and experience, it's just I could just try to encourage her. Like she said, he's my friend. You know what I mean? And shit, for a while before we got to this table and stuff like that, and before we got back to training and stuff, it's like I said she's my best friend. Like they say circle so small, it's a period. You know, it's a good thing sometimes. Like,
hey, I know I'm in a group of all guys, but remember in America's Next Top Model when they're like, I didn't come here to make friends, I came here to be America's Next Top Model.
I totally watched that shit too.
So she go from one extreme to another. That was a nice way to be like, fuck you bitches. You know what I
mean? No, because I feel like every time I try to bring somebody around, they all trying to fuck my man, and that's kind of awkward. And that ain't my friend.
it does happen. I mean, like, well, I don't fuck them, but like they try to do like she's saying or whatever.
Right. I ain't got time for the cattiness. But, you know, if you're not a catty type of person and we click, which I haven't met that person yet, so it's like I agree keeping your circle small. I don't think you should just try to make friends just for the sake of making friends. I think you should really take your time, just like any other type of relationship, to find that person that really meshes with you.
Yeah, and now I'm inclined to want to give my girlfriend some advice or some kind of anecdote to make her feel better. I mean, just like back to that elevation requires isolation, but it's only going to be for a time. Like I said early on, like the people that are meant to be in your life, even though it might be a few, they're going to come over time. And so like right now, if I was you, like I said, a person that's destined for greatness, just look at it like how, like when a spaceship is going like out of orbit or something like that. You know what I mean? You go through this like this rough period. I think it catches on fire when it comes back in. But getting out of this atmosphere and stuff is
like 10 different layers of atmosphere.
And it's very hard to get through all that. And then once you get through that, that's when the people that are meant to be in your life, that is the quality of person that you want in your life, will present itself.
Quality over quantity.
Exactly. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to be just around a bunch of basic people that ain't doing nothing, that ain't about nothing. That's mediocrity. People be gathered together celebrating mediocrity and settling and stuff. And it's like, you know, and like she said, she's in a group of all guys. You're the queen bee, you know what I'm saying? And it's like it takes a little bit of time, but hopefully, you know, because that's what she wants, you know what I'm saying? Hopefully she'll be able to get those people. But it's like, if I was you, I would still just never settle. And as long as I'm her boyfriend, she's never going to settle, because I'm not going to pick her friends for or force anything. and I'm not gonna like, you know, be like, no, that person can't be your friend. But the same way your spouse presents different perspectives to keep you on your toes and stuff like that. I'm gonna always be here for her to help her see things from a different angle. You know what I mean? Like we've tried to interact with people that she met from massage school that, you know, she was cool with, and I'm just like, well, hold on, she responded yesterday and said this. She shouldn't even have responded until she had the answer, and then it's already the next day and nothing. Okay, they're playing with you. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, so I'm always gonna help keep her on her toes and stuff. And it's like those right people, I don't know if that person is watching this, but those right people will do the work. Like I said, I don't care from day one you're like, I'm team Jacoby, I'm team. It's like, okay, now show it. You know what I mean? But I'm not afraid to go it alone. I'm never afraid to go it alone, but I know how to reach back and, you know, pull my fellow up with me, or just keep them strong during that. But I'm not gonna, like I said, I'm not begging for friends, I'm not buying friends, and I'm not settling for friends. You know what I mean? Huh?
I bought a friend.
Bought a friend.
I don't even ask what you did with it once you bought it. You know what I mean?
I'll put it in the tank.
Oh, okay, you bought a snake. Okay, I'm sorry. We got some snakes. Some fan bought a snake. It's like gang. I was touched by that. That's what, so like that meant a lot to me. You know what I'm saying? Like we was playing with our snake after the show the other day and stuff, and then
I was hoping that didn't rub you like. Oh,
no, it impressed me.
I need to go get me a snake too.
No, it impressed me. Yeah, it impressed me, bro.
Hell yeah, like I impressed. It impressed me. It was a spontaneous ass move. I woke up, I had some money. I'm like, bro, I'm finna go buy me a snake. You know what I'm saying? It's like a first snake too, and I was petrified when she put the snake in my hand. I'm like, I don't know what to do with it.
I bought his gonna get big. I bought a mean one. We can't even play with them, but he got the one that's gonna get big. So it's like in a second, I'm a double around and get that one. But like I'm gonna wait a second. But yeah, it impressed me, and like he had posted some things. We're talking about friends and stuff. So cause like we just had a few conversations the other day, because like he had posted some things, and I was just like, I took him the wrong way. That's why I was gonna ask you, like, what's it like to have a friend like me, because it can be a challenge and stuff. And so I see some posts and stuff, and I'm just like, and then like after I get that feeling like, I see he buys a snake, so I was like, oh, you know what I mean? I was like, oh, okay, shots to the heart. You know what I mean? Like. It was like, I thought it was really cool. We told somebody else, and they was just like, oh, that's what's up. You know what I mean? So, This is our first time telling you. But yeah, he bought a ball afterwards.
Yeah, he was telling me.
Oh, okay.
He was telling me.
Yeah.
I bought a ball python.
That's finally cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
But let's see. Last thing, and I'm gonna be real quick. I think we touched on friends a lot after, and she kind of came with she hit us over the head with the hammer. She's like, fuck y'all, bro talk. I ain't got no friends. You know what I mean? Like,
That like
yeah, it's like she came real hard with that one. You know what I mean?
But I mean, I think it's difficult for women to make friends these days, because a lot of them be talking about how they be catty towards each other, and like I said, they be trying to fuck each other's mans and things like that, and
jealousy and envy is humongous.
Envy,
you know,
that's something right there. Like, I had so many people just jealous of me over just the simplest things, just simple things. Like, people just are, like, we talk about, like, people in Vegas, they'll be jealous of you, don't want to be your friend just because you have a significant other, and they don't.
Yeah, I've experienced that a lot. Like, it's just like, just having a girl will make you lose a friend, or just make people, like, avoid you in Las Vegas, and it's just like, what the fuck? I don't know if it's like that in the rest of the world. I've been here for a few years, but it's something that I started to encounter once I got here. I was like, damn, just having a girl will make you lose friends. And then I got two, so like, don't talk to me about not having friends for a while, because like, even as we were becoming friends, he was just my personal trainer, so I'd start my morning and see him, but then the rest of the day it's just me and my girls, you know what I mean? So, and that, I mean, but that all, maybe that's what helped me become more invested in me and you know what I mean? And it's coming full circle, you know? So everything happens for a reason, you know?
Yeah, people also like to cross boundaries, because I think people should have relationship boundaries and things like that, and people definitely try to cross them. They try to jump jump the gun and think that they can be more friendly than they're supposed to at first and say certain things.
She's like, so instead of like girls trying to fuck her man, it'd be like for them niggas that be saying weird shit or trying to give off weird vibes to my girl. You know what I mean? We talk about all that shit. You know what I mean?
I had somebody that I talked to for like 6 months and I thought she was real cool. Then all of a sudden she meets him and she acts like I don't even exist. And she wants to try to start talking to him like every single day. Like, okay.
But we did do that. We did. That was like, but okay. Yeah, because she lame after the fact. But
those are
like,
just like weird things to me. It's like how, you know, some people just aren't very. Yeah, they just like they have hidden agendas. Like some people will try to get close to you for other reasons, and you have to be careful about that. You have to learn how to protect yourself too. Like we talked about, like how people can get hurt and they'll recluse and things like that. There's so many different things about friends where you don't want to give too much, you don't want to give too little. You want to share certain things, learning how to be when and where to be vulnerable, who to be vulnerable with.
Those are great points because sometimes you can give too much too soon.
Yeah.
You know, so it's about learning. You have to really learn how to be a good friend.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Sometimes people come to you and vent. Like I said, this other person was like, "You're probably my only friend. Thank you." And she was thanking me for my bluntness and things like that. But a lot of times when people come and talk to you or tell you things, they're not really asking for your advice. They just want you to listen to them. They just want you to hear them so they feel like they have somebody to talk to. They're not asking you to solve their problem. Mm-hmm. They're just asking you to be there for them while they go through the problem. You know what I mean?
Be a sounding board.
Exactly, because that way it's not all bottled up and pent up. You know what I'm saying? It's like working out a problem out loud. They don't want you to solve it for you. They just want you to, like, so what'd you say? Soundboard. Yeah, soundboard. Yeah. You know, and you let them get through their issue. You let them work through their emotions.
So I think this is really interesting. Back to the author of the 13 Things Mentally Strong People Shouldn't Do, the interview that she was doing with the woman who created Quest Protein. She said that it could be detrimental for some people to want to feel like they have to talk about their problems to somebody. How do you guys feel about that? Like she said that sometimes it's not really a solution to feel like, oh, if I don't vent and I keep it bottled in, something, I'm just going to explode at a certain point. She's saying that wasn't necessarily the best thing to do.
I agree, because like I said at one point, you can't be afraid to go it alone. You know what I mean? And it's that period sometimes sucks. You know what I mean? But it's still a reality. And one of the other things, and she watched the interview from an author of a book I'm reading, and it's like they were saying, like, if you're always negative, nobody's like, yo, I like that person because how negative they are.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's ever said that.
Yeah, nobody's ever said that. So you always got a problem, like, hey, bro, what do you think about this? Like you're going to be like trying to avoid the person. You're going to be like, yo, here, this one, I ain't got time for that. You know what I mean? So you got to learn a balance. And it's just, I was talking about somebody that was like really dealing with something, you know what I mean? But it's just, if you always got a problem and you want to talk to somebody about it, that's a form of neediness. It's really just attention seeking.
Yeah, that's not really a friendship.
Yeah, and it's not really about the problem that they're trying to talk about.
The other person. It's about yourself, really.
They're just a needy person, and that's not cool. One of the things, like I said, so we're going to talk about friends a little bit more. Plus, I'm going to say, yo, Young Venom was way more thugged out on this episode. Like, the last one, she seemed a little bit more bubbly. This one, she just like, Okay, I was going to say, I swear to God, I was going to say that, bro. Because I'm like, between the long day or the hat, because she was thugged out before we even talked about the friends and shit. You know what I mean? I'm just like, whoa, you know what I mean? But
I just had to put that one person on blast.
Like, how about now? It was all good too. Like, it got real good, and then she just went bad, and it was just like, man, and we way too tight for that. You know what I mean?
It's a real serious topic. Even though we said we're going to talk about it later, there's a lot of toxic people out there. There's a lot of toxic people out there, and you really have to be careful, because sometimes you'll just get wrapped up into something that you didn't want to get wrapped into.
And that person had a lot of trauma in their childhood growing up. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because we talked and stuff. And so, like I said, some people are just damaged some people become jaded and a lot more, you know. So it's just it's about choosing your friends wisely. So like she said, she knew the person for 6 months, so that didn't make her friend. You know what I mean? And it was just like,
and that was a whole learning experience right there.
And you learned, right?
Yeah, learning experience.
And so that's just, to me, the learning the lesson is more important. It sucks that you couldn't gain a friend, but learning the lesson. And it's not like that person like crossed us or anything on the way out. So hopefully they grow. Yeah. And we'll meet them again in the future, and they'll be better people. You know what I mean? So sometimes you got to give passive aggressive people or their time to work through those emotions and stuff like that. You know, they'll figure it out. And this person was kind of young too. So
how do y'all feel about users, like people who come into your life that you think that could be your friend, but in the long run they're constantly like asking you for favors, asking you to go out of your way to do things? The
more you educate yourself, and like everything you don't have to learn by experience. You don't gotta keep bumping your head to learn it. And then like I've done both. I've educated myself and I bumped my head. So hopefully she'll become fast tracked on that. She'll naturally be able to gauge people, and she's a good gauge and judge of character. That's why a lot of times people just stay away. You know what I mean?
So long,
like,
you know a duck when you see a duck.
Yeah, and it's like, and if you allow users to keep coming into your life, then
they just gonna keep using you.
No, well, yeah, of course, catch a fool, bump his head is something that my mom used to always say. You know what I mean? So it's like, and I didn't get it at first, but it's just like, don't be no fool for nobody. And if you keep doing it, then it's your fault. We said earlier, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. So you have to educate yourself and enlighten yourself to be able to identify those types of people. And as you protect yourself, even if you're empowering people, I don't like the word enabling, but like if you're, as long as you're empowering people, but you know what your expectations and standards are out of that from the beginning. Like I said, not even you made them told that person, but you know what you stand for. You know what's acceptable to you. You're not gonna allow yourself to be used. You might give that person enough rope to hang themselves so that you're not making an assumption. You know, like I hate to be presumptuous and be wrong about a person, but you know, fat meat is greasy. You know what I mean? Like, and like we was all just eating the fat off the steak. So it's like, but it's like as long as you educate yourself, and that's why we keep talking about different types of books and different things, and watching interviews and stuff like that. I've been watching a lot of interviews from a life coach this week and stuff. You set your standards and your expectations, and you have your boundaries, and so users won't be able to get past a certain point. They'll be like, okay, this person ain't it, and they'll go their way.
What about some people? Back to like how some people are very hurt and guarded, that they don't let anybody into their life because they're so guarded, so untrustworthy, that they could miss out on potentially a really good friend just because they're not being open or receptive. How do you I
have an answer for it, but do you have an answer for it? I don't want to just
how do you not shift between being used and then also letting somebody in that could potentially be a good friend?
I mean, I feel like you can give anybody a chance, but once you see that first red flag, that's it for me. So I've been there too many times.
It's the same thing like you said, when over time, eventually you can recognize a duck as a duck.
Yeah,
you know,
it's have to quack. You feel
exactly. So it's more a matter of like, sometimes you have to, and this is something I want to try to instill in my kids when I have them, is you have to make mistakes. Like that's a necessity of life, and you have to learn from those mistakes. And part of learning from those mistakes is, maybe you make them once, maybe sometimes you even make them 2 or 3 times. But the more you actually recognize what's happening as that mistake occurs, the more easily you're able to actually be, if you do it right and you learn correctly, the more you're able to actually be open. Because then you can recognize, I know what level of openness I'm comfortable with a brand new person or this or that. And so when I lay that out there, then their response to it will tell me exactly what I need to know of, okay, this person is trustworthy or not.
Some people will give you the bare minimum, and they will be upset for you not accepting the bare minimum.
Yeah, that's true too. Yeah. I've started to experience that with somebody else recently, and I noticed it. Like I was like, yo, this person is getting spoiled. They starting to expect certain things. You know what I mean? I was just telling. I'm not gonna say who or what. I'm not gonna paint a big. Yeah, I was like, she was not dawning on her. But yeah, I was like, because I was doing things for, not physically. It was like nothing, no sweat off my back for real. Like I said, a candle loses nothing by lighting another one. But it just wasn't being the minimum that they was given. It started to, like I said, you have your own standards and expectations. So what I was doing for this person, I had an expectation back because there has to be some form of reciprocity. Yeah. And I started noticing that when I did one thing, it wasn't enough. They wasn't happy until I did two things. And I was just like, right. You know what I mean? And so that quickly...
Red flag.
Yeah, and it got taken care of. So that's not a factor anymore. It's something that just popped up recently and it just got handled. You know what I mean? And because you learn to make those adjustments. Now, sometimes one step forward, two steps back. I'm still cool with that person, whatever. But I recognize these behaviors and then I made the adjustment in myself. And now we still was answering the question about friends and being used. She asked, what about when you see somebody that's damaged and been traumatized in their past and they are kind of selling themselves short of the potential of the friendship that could transpire?
Because everybody is traumatized and damaged, and sometimes, you know, like you said, harder than saying hello. Sometimes goodbye can make you cry. Like sometimes,
no, she said it backwards.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Harder than saying goodbye. Sometimes hello can make you cry.
Okay, but you know, sometimes it takes people time to grow, and you know, maybe you're that person to kind of help them grow. Yeah,
but at the same time, you can't overextend yourself. Like I said, giving too much too soon and different things like that, because they're not even open or in a place to be receptive to it. They're not there yet. It's kind of like a mental maturity. It's like
it's just not y'all time.
Exactly. So like
somebody else.
This little girl in the picture, like the phone's still open, so she can't even read the shirt that her dad has on, hoping that one day his daughter will be able to feel like free, you know, feel as free, empowered and as free as this shirt promotes. But so it's kind of like a kid that can't even read or write, but you over here writing love letters in cursive to him. You know what I mean? So it might just really just be a high and a smile at the time. You know what I mean? Like I said, you have your standards and your limits. So if you can give a person a T-shirt and it's not costing you nothing, it's not really hurting or making you overextend yourself, just give them the shirt. You know what I'm saying? And then like a little bit later, give them a high. And one day when that light bulb goes off in their head, because like we're saying, time heals all wounds, and nobody is just a tree stuck in one spot. So as life keeps going, you never know the other forces that are going to be working in their life behind the scenes. And they're gonna remember the same way. They'll be like, well, Kobe, you said that. Kobe ain't got to say nothing, but they're going to be like, yo, you was the one that always said hi. You was the one that, you gave me that shirt that one day and that was a low day for me. You know what I mean? I was just in a whole nother place mentally. And now I'm out of that darkness and I want to get to know you more. I want to be, so you got to give people their time and their space. And like I said earlier, if you love something, let it go. If it comes back, it's yours to you. If it doesn't, it never was. So that's my advice. And it can be very sad, but there's nobody that you can just shake and be like, yo, get it through your head. I'm your friend. And grow.
I love you.
You'll just hurt them more because you'll just hurt them more. So, you know, that's my advice to a person. I've seen it so many times. Like I said, the person that spent 6 months, you know, talking to her, and then once we all got in the picture, she changed the angle. But it was just like that was a person who had been traumatized by a man in her past, and so she had that light bulb off in her head for so long, and then now it just came back on. You know what I mean? It was just like, whoa, there's I was wrong for all that, and it still could confuse a person. You know what I mean? So I'm just like, give them time, and then if they don't, they don't. But that would be my advice to a person that you can see is damaged or have their issues. Just it's like love them at a distance per se, and allow them their room.
Yeah. But I think we gotta
wrap up.
I gotta
okay, yeah, we gotta wrap
I gotta
up.
get it out. Let my heart go.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, shit, it's
Man,
quick.
real
Yeah.
quick, real. I swear to God, count the time. 5 minutes on this. 5 minutes, bro. Pink. It says that not pink makeup. I really want to talk about this. We're gonna bring it back full circle, and this is like, it's so funny after talking about all the friends because it ain't got shit to do with friends. But let's say girlfriends, okay? It's talking about they don't have to wear makeup. You know what? I really agree with that. My girlfriends, I do not, and the girlfriends that I've had, especially in the past, well, the first ones were just very natural beauties per se. All of them have been natural beauties, but some of them like to wear makeup more than others. I don't really like it. I hope I'm not saying to him. I don't know his wife's preference or nothing like that.
I'm not a big makeup person either. My wife doesn't really wear a lot of makeup, and I prefer it. Like I don't like. I feel like it's
not
just,
to.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah. I feel like it's kind of when people
Deceiving?
really paint on the makeup a whole lot. I feel like it's kind of dishonest. It's not an actual presentation of the self.
Deceiving like a mug. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like
And-
makeup. I don't wear a lot of it, but I like it.
Yeah.
I like,
No, and
I like when certain girls wear makeup. Sometimes I like when they really do like the whole makeup thing. Like I like, cause I like celebrities and things like that. Like I think everybody knows that I love Beyonce and things like that. Beyonce wears makeup.
yeah. No, and I don't mean that.
If Beyonce
I don't mean
do with
that
it, you know what I mean? Like she, so,
I don't think that wearing makeup is bad, and I definitely think people do a really good job with it. People get really intense with it, and it's very impressive what they can do.
I think when you use it to highlight your features, I think that's beautiful.
Yeah.
I think when you really use it to your advantage, or when you're using it for a purpose, because even if you do work in film or if you do work with photography, sometimes it helps with the media, the translation through the camera and the lights.
well,
and
that
things
seems
like
like more of an artistic, like they call it makeup artists and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
that's a different thing. I
And
think.
everybody is entitled to their opinion. I feel like it's a little bit deceiving. We used for a few years on Instagram, social media, they call it sorcery or some shit like that. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And so with me, back to one of my deep esoteric books, whatever. I had already had my opinion about makeup and things, but then when I read this shit in the book, it was like, to be beautiful, something has to be real.
Yep. Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
I
so
agree with
when
that.
you're going above and beyond, and if you have like scars and something happen to you or different shit, then yes, there's always exceptions and it's understandable. You know
Because
what
you don't
I mean?
want somebody just to look at you
Fuck
and look
somebody
at you.
your own self-image. I mean, like, if you've been through some things, then you should learn to accept and embrace who you are and stuff like that. But say you got like you're really scarred for whatever reason, it could fuck with you. You know what I'm saying? When you look in the mirror, it could fuck with you and shit like that. And if there's nothing else you can do about it, then I understand. But just as a whole, these females I don't want to be late. Girls spend way too much motherfucking time doing that shit. And like I said, I deal with natural beauty, so it's like, you don't need that. I'd rather build you up and be like, and make you feel like you don't need it. And I'm cool with the accents, you know what I'm saying? We was testing the lights and shit, and it was like, okay, makeup gonna help you not be the lights blaring
washed
off
out.
you.
You know,
Fine and dandy, but like, my own personal opinion, that's all it is. All it is my own personal opinion. I like to paraphrase, for something to be beautiful, it has to be real. You know what I mean? And I feel like you should do more work on building yourself up mentally and emotionally.
Covering it up.
Exactly. You know what I mean? Because there's so many females, for a while, there was like, maybe you should eat the makeup. Then you'll be, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, then you'll be
So if
pretty
you're
inside
trying
as
to
you are
wear
on the
makeup-
outside. You know what I mean? Like,
if you're
'cause
trying to wear makeup because you feel like you don't like yourself,
Beyonce said it's the soul that
inside-
needs surgery.
Right, if you don't like who you are
Pretty
on
hurts.
the inside, and if you feel like you put on this makeup and you just feel like a completely different person, I feel like that's not solving anything at the end of the day.
Hey, good point. That's right. And so, like she's saying, Beyonce wear makeup. Yeah, she do. Beyonce got the song called "Pretty Hurts" too that discuss even more than makeup. And it's like she said, it's the soul that needs surgery. So just make sure you keep that nice balance. That's my advice. But I just wanted to touch on that because it was something on the shirt that we kind of skipped over because it's like nobody really gives a fuck. It's like all that
And,
other shit was just a lot more. Like, ugh.
Shout out to Rihanna, Fenty Beauty.
Yeah,
I
she
love
got
Fenty
that.
Beauty. It don't make you break out, okay?
Yeah, and I mean, like, I like it. I like her when she wears a moderate amount. Fuck the Bible. I was talking about my deep esoteric book. The Bible say everything in moderation. So that's for you Christians. You know what I'm saying? And it's a. I think that's a good anecdote, just in moderation. You know what I mean? Like when it totally changes. I've had cousins I seen some girl that they was dating, they was staying with us one time, and I was like, yo, she bad. You know what I mean? I was like, oh. Then like they went to sleep, and the next morning, and I was a little kid. I come out, I was like, what? And I felt horrible because I really did this shit to this female. I was like, whoa. You know, I was like, who are you? You know what I mean?
Like, all my ex-girlfriends, they've all done hella makeup. I mean, not too much, but
my mama wear and she take forever, and I hate that shit. I hate when you grow up being late everywhere. But
like my old lady, she called me yesterday, you know, with a face, you know, look decent full of makeup, and I almost took a trip back to the sea. You know what I'm saying? Like, she knows I hate makeup, but damn it, you know.
Sometimes it really does make you look good, though. I ain't gonna lie, especially when you have a big social media presence. And I mean, like, honestly, like, every girl on social media more than likely wears makeup. Like, that's just what it is. Man. And I'm, you know, okay, Alicia Keys, okay, I hear you. Maybe the ones you
follow.
No, I'm just because you can't see it, because, you know, through the camera and things like that, just because you can't see the makeup doesn't mean that they're not wearing it. And just because they're not doing it in untasteful ways still does not mean that you can't be totally against makeup. There's some people who know how to do it tastefully, and there's other people who don't do it tastefully.
Yeah. You know, that's the point we was making, so we all on the same page.
Yeah.
As long as you do it where it makes sense and it's tasteful.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Or unless you a makeup artist and you going for a straight point and trying to, you know, show some what you're capable of, but just walking around woo woo woo, I'm not for it. I guess she don't really mind, and
yeah, I don't really mind.
You prefer not so much.
Prefer the au natural.
Yeah,
natural.
And
but either way,
you prefer natural, but you're okay with it also.
My last birthday cake didn't have that much icing on it.
That was a down south metaphor. You know what I mean? We gonna close on that note, okay? And thank y'all for watching Bar Fight, and we'll see you next week. You dig?
See you. I gotta take a mad piss too.